everyone, it's Joy here and welcome back to my channel for a handmade Christmas. Today I'm going to show you how to make some quick, easy cards using Simon Says Stamp Christmas Wreath Stencil. Now I made 6 cards in about 2 hours, and so I'm going to show you 6 of these cards, obviously all 6. And each one is kind of different. I've got some colorful ones and then I have some more simpler ones so you can decide which look you're going for. And this works great if you want to mass produce cards. Now for this first card, I'm going to do the traditional red and green. So I'm using Tailored Expressions Cherry Pop and Mold Wine inks for the red. Then I'm using Simon Says Stamp's Pawsitively saturated inks. These are their new inks. I'm using FAIRWAY and Field for the green. So I laid down the Cherry Pop first, came in with the Mold Wine to the centers, and that's what I'm doing here to add a little bit of a darker center on these beautiful poinsettias. I'm going to clean off my stencil before I add the green. I don't really want to mix the colors. Now, as you first noticed, I did not tape anything off. My plan was not to tape anything off until right here when I got so much green on one of my red flower petals. So I just brought in some low-tack purple tape, and I'm just going to quickly tape off the areas so I can get the green. I'm going to start with the FAIRWAY because that's a little bit of a lighter green. Then I will come in with the Field and do that on the separate leaves. So we have 2 different colors of green leaves on this background. This is a 6x6 stencil, so all of my cards will actually be about 5.5 by 5.5 because I did trim down this card panel. I am originally starting with a 6x6 card panel. I did trim this out of Neenah Classic Crest Solar White cardstock, 110 pound, and then I'm going to use some other colored cardstocks as well, and I'll let you know what those are as we go through the card making process. But again, I started with a 6x6 card panel and then I will trim it down. Now these first 2 backgrounds are the ones that take the longest because I'm doing multiple colors. The rest of them are a lot quicker, so you can decide which ones you would like to do if you only wanted to do one sample. Okay, so I cleaned off my stencil for the most part, and now I'm going to bring in a really just fun color combination of pink and teal. So I'm using the Pawsitively saturated inks from Simon Says Stamp, and the pinks are Bubblegum and Sweets, and then the turquoise are Seafoam and Surf. And I just thought that this is a really playful background. Now, to kind of bring in the retro, you could throw in some red onto this, and that would be a little bit more of that retro feel, but I left the red out and just kind of kept it with this pink and turquoise. Now, I did not tape off anything for this. I was a little bit more careful when I was stenciling, but I also didn't mind if some of the colors kind of overlapped. It would make a little bit of a purple, which to me feels kind of wintry. Now, I also wanted to mention that I am using Simon Says Stamp's new small blender brushes, and I also will be using Tailored Expressions bitty blender brushes just for a couple different colors for each. So these work perfect for a stencil like this to kind of get into those small areas. So again, I'm using the Seafoam and Surf for the leaves, and I just think this is just such a fun background. Okay, on to the next one. I am using a cobalt blue cardstock. This is from Cardstock Warehouse. I really just wanted a blue and white background. So I am using Tailored Expressions Sugar Cube ink, which is a white ink, and one of their bitty blender brushes. Now this ink takes a long time to dry, so I set this aside and kind of worked on it almost towards the end when I added more of the details, but this blue and white is really so super pretty. So when I peel that back, you're going to see how stunning that is. Then I wanted to do a wreath on craft cardstock, so I'm doing it on Cardstock Warehouse's brown box cardstock. And I was going to do it all in white, but once I started laying it down, I decided I'm going to do all of the leaves in white. Then I'm going to come in with some pink for the poinsettias, and I am using the Bubblegum because that's the lightest pink. And I just thought this really is really soft and pretty and still feels Christmassy. All of these just have a really different look, which is really what I was going for. And you get 6 cards And like I said, this took me about 2 hours to make. So that's a lot of cards in 2 hours. So really, really actually kind of a quick card project. Okay, now I'm coming in with olive cardstock. I am prepping it with my anti-static powder tool. I also wanted to mention that I'm using Wendy Vecchi's Make Art Station. This is perfect for stencils, has magnets to hold it in place. This is the 7x7, and there's also a larger one. I am inking it up with Versamark ink. I just took my ink pad directly to the stencil and the cardstock. And I'm coming in with gold embossing powder on this beautiful olive cardstock. This is from Cardstock Warehouse as well, and I just thought this is very different. This actually turned out to be one of, I think, my most favorite wreath out of all of these that I did. Then for the final one, I am doing the same process as the last time, but I'm doing it on wine cardstock from Cardstock Warehouse. So, and I'm going to come in with some silver embossing powder and just sprinkle that on and then heat that until it's nice and melted. Then I'm going to use some die cuts. I used 2 letter die cuts because this was going to be much simpler and quicker. So I am using the Large Joy die from Simon Says Stamp. I am inking up the 2 layers. I have the base layer and I'm inking that up with seafoam, and then the next smaller layer I'm inking up with bubblegum ink, and I'm going to stack that on top of each other. And I will just glue that together with some liquid glue. This is just, again, for that fun background of the teal and pink. I am going to bring in some pale gold Nouveau crystal drops to add a little bit of detail to this. I did pop that sentiment up with foam tape. Some of these have foam tape, some of them don't. But here's where I'm going to add some of that pale gold Nouveau crystal drops to the center of the poinsettias and to some of the dots around on the card panel. Again, I'm going to attach this to a 5.5 by 5.5 card base. And this card is just so festive and fun. Okay, so for this traditional Christmas card, I am using the Believe die cut. I die cut the top layer of the Believe from the Red Wagon Sparkle cardstock from Cardstock Warehouse, and I added that to the white shadow behind it. I popped that up with foam tape. I'm coming in with liquid pearls. This is in Christmas Red stickles, excuse me, not liquid pearls, stickles. I'm going to add that to the centers of the flowers, and this is a glittery glue, and so I wanted that to be glittery because the word Believe is also glittery. I'm going to add the word Believe, the die cut Believe, in silver to that beautiful wine and silver background. I am not going to add the shadow behind it, but I did adhere 2 Believes together, so I die cut them twice, glued those together for some dimension. Then I thought I'm going to bring in some white. So I am using Nouveau crystal drops in Simply White to add to the dots around in the centers of the flowers and all around the card. Some of the cards, there's more dots. Some of the card is less. It just kind of how that card spoke to me. Let this dry for a good couple hours or overnight, especially before you put it in an envelope to mail it. Okay, so for the olive background, I die cut the Believe from Gold Mirror cardstock. I die cut the shadow and the top piece and glued that together. I am going to pop this up with foam tape, again adding it right to the center. And then I was going to just add gold drops, but I thought, you know what, a pop of red on this will be stunning. So I'm using Nouveau crystal drops in Autumn Red, and I'm going to add that to the center of the poinsettias and again to the little dots all around the whole wreath. Again, this card turned out to be my favorite. I know this olive is not like a traditional green, but I just think this is so gorgeous. So I'm going to finish doing that. Then we're going to bring in this beautiful blue card. I die cut from the Large Joy. The top layer is from white glitter cardstock from Cardstock Warehouse. The shadow is just white cardstock. I adhered 2 shadow pieces together for dimension. And then I'm going to adhere that in the center, and then coming in with the Simply White Nouveau crystal drop all around, because again, I just really wanted this to feel wintry. I love the blue and white. I think it's so stunning, and having the white crystal drops actually is a bit brighter than the white ink on the wreath, so it does still kind of pop there. You could add any other color, but I kept it in the blue and white theme, and I think this turned out absolutely stunning. For the last card, I'm using the large Joy die, gluing that together, just 2 white pieces. The shadow and the top piece are both from white cardstock. And then I'm going to come in with the pale gold Nuvo crystal drop to add those little dots all around the card panel. I thought bringing in some gold would be really pretty. You could do white, you could have done red. That would have been gorgeous too. Even a little bit of silver would have been pretty on this background, but I kept it pretty simple. And as you guys can see, these go really fast. Now, because I'm going to be doing a drawing at the end of this, here is my question for you guys. Do you put a Christmas wreath on your door? And if so, what color is it? Make sure you guys comment that below. I will have a new question in all of my videos, somewhere in my videos, and I will have a drawing for a nice prize at the end of this handmade holiday series, or excuse me, handmade Christmas series, excuse me. So make sure you leave that comment again. Do you put a Christmas wreath on your door? And if so, what color is it? Like, what's your color scheme? We put one on our door, and it's just kind of the traditional color scheme. Sometimes I switch it out, but it's usually just the traditional color scheme. I want to thank you guys so very much for stopping by and watching. I really appreciate all of you guys. I do have some affiliate links. They cost you nothing, but they help me, so thank you so much. If you like what you've seen, please subscribe to my channel, comment, thumbs up, and share, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.